All right, let's get to Aki's A-List.
It's time for Akis AList. From the mind of the man who understands the 4 Ps of Waddle's world. Akis A-List. The top questions and topics floating around in Tyler Aki's mind.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
Akis A-List on ESPN Chicago.
Tyler's got questions, and we try to provide these answers. And they're very thoughtful, unless they're not. There was one that I didn't like yesterday. Let's see if Tyler's got good ones today.
Which one didn't you like yesterday?
I forgot which one turned me off. There was one that turned me off yesterday.
All right, we'll check the tape and try to be better today. Ryan Poles also addressed the defensive line and what his philosophy is in building the defensive line. Here's what he had to say earlier today.
Yeah, things shift and change as you go along. It's going to be hard.
You know what? That was the wrong cut. Here's the actual cut about the edge rushing versus interior line.
Yeah, we've talked about inside and outside. Both are multipliers. Generally speaking, I would say the inside guy has the shortest path to the quarterback. So therefore, like if you have, we both have lived with really good elite players that are in the inside, and it changes everything, and it opens up a lot for other teams as well. So. Having that interior rush is probably a preference when you have an outside guy. It makes it really difficult to scheme up.
So that was him talking about the interior of the defensive line and building inside out. We've seen a lot of steam lately with Byron Murphy, the 3-tech out of Texas. Now, if you sample any random mock draft, in all likelihood, you'll find Dallas Turner as the first defensive player off the board. But if the Bears are to take the first defensive player off the board, do you think it is more likely to be Dallas Turner or Byron Murphy?
Is Byron Murphy a true 3 technique?
That's what Biggs has him as in his column.
All right.
I think there's a lot of smoke around him. I'm going Byron Murphy. I'm believing what I'm reading and knowing what Matt Eberflus's defense is.
I think it's a good point, and I'm not hearing as much buzz about the edge rushers as like with Will Anderson last year.
I just think there's too many things. Like nobody's perfect there. And not that everyone's perfect anyway, but do you know what I mean? There's still questions about. There's a different question mark about each guy.
That would be what now? That would be so they drafted Dexter, they drafted Pickens, and then they would draft this kid. I mean, that would be 3 defensive linemen in 2 years, all drafted inside the top 3 rounds.
That's okay though, if they're good.
It's a lot of ammunition spent on that spot. I thought Dexter was a guy that they were going to try and play as a 3 technique. Maybe they bounce him outside. I have no idea.
But look, when that 3 tech hits, he costs probably the most on the front end, on the free agent market, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so few of them who are impactful.
I think that most will tell you too that's the anchor to this style of defense. So
remember too what one of their first moves they tried to make under Ryan Poles was trying to sign Larry Ogunjobi as well. All right, so we've got all this buzz about a new stadium for the Chicago Bears, but the rest of the NFL has focused elsewhere. They've all been concerned with new jerseys. We saw some from the Broncos yesterday, the Lions, the Jets, just to name a few, have all opted for some new threads for this upcoming season. Charlie Bevins texted me an interesting question yesterday. The Char Dog asked,
do you have any vodka?
No, he asked me, by the way, did you see his pizza last night?
I did
Yeah,
not.
I'm very disappointed in him. After all I've talked about with Connie's Frozen Pizza, he goes for Walgreens brand? Like, has he not learned anything? Has he not been listening?
Made a Walgreens pizza?
Yeah.
I'll show you the picture at the break. It's atrocious. Anyway, he did have a good question, not a good pizza. A good question, though. Do you care more about, in general, not just for the Bears, but in general, do you care more about new stadiums or new jerseys for your team?
New stadium.
New stadiums.
Really?
Whoa, time out. Like, I don't care if you wear a burlap sack. Win.
Okay, well, I don't care if you play at Oz Park. Win games.
Well, right, but if you're asking me which I'm more interested in, it would be the creature comforts and the accessibility of a stadium versus the eye candy that a jersey would be.
For me, I don't really care about the new stadium. I care way more about the new jerseys that are going around the NFL. Yeah.
Is that just an age thing? Do you think that is the explanation for that? He's more worried about how the jerseys look versus Meller. You're a season ticket holder. I mean, if I give you a better product from a stadium perspective, and you have greater accessibility, and the in and out is easier, and all of that stuff, do you really care what their jerseys look like?
I mean, I don't want it to be some, atrocious.
Well, which do you care
godforsaken-
more
No,
about?
but for me personally, it's definitely the stadium.
But I
do
do
have
use
season
those
tickets,
because you have
though.
season tickets. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they're not hideous, like
It's not moving the needle for me like dramatically either way. Like a third jersey, like the Broncos. I love the old Broncos throwback uniform. They're going to bring it back next year. I was like, okay, cool.
You tell me, Tyler. I know you're young and you've got time and you got fresh legs, but when it takes you 3 hours to get out of that building after
But we
a
were talking
game,
about it earlier. How many people don't go to games?
but you're still, you're all enthralled with what this great looking jersey is. Give me a holler
I can sit
then
on
on the
my
way
ass,
back.
go to NFLshop.com and order a new jersey. I don't go to games really. No, I think a lot of people don't go to NFL games because the TV product's so good.
But like, if you do go to games, that's a total experience. Having a player in a jersey really isn't an experience.
I will tell you what, though.
Don't you want to go to that stadium when they're starting to host the NFC title game? You want to be in
Don't
that
you think
building.
more people like buy jerseys than tickets though?
Yes, because jerseys are less expensive than tickets.
Oh, I don't know. They're
Well,
pretty expensive these days.
Yes, but that jersey, like, I
I
can
like a good
probably buy
jersey,
one
though.
jersey. If I'm taking myself and 3 of my family members to a football game, it's going to cost me what, $500? Easy, $600.
Maybe more. I mean, if you've got a good team, like
Was it weird for me, the Bulls playing game, like as bad as the Bulls were, when they played their home game, did they wear their black jerseys at home?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the jerseys, but that has been a gripe of mine in the playoffs, especially with the NBA. You'll turn on an NBA game on now. You have no idea who's playing each other.
That's what I didn't like. And
Baseball too.
give me the Bulls home whites.
Yeah.
Like, they were playing in their only home, quote, playoff game. It wasn't even really a playoff game. And they were wearing their black jerseys. And they don't even go with tradition anymore of wearing the black shoes for playoff games because everyone's got their own shoe these days. That's really an old school thing. Like the Bulls of the 90s always, when it was playoff time, would go with the black shoes. I loved that. And even like under Tibbs, I believe they did that too out of tradition.
Real quick, let me squeeze in one baseball question here. Kyle Hendricks hit the IL today with a back injury, or as Waddle said, an ERA hemorrhage?
Yeah, you had a hemorrhaging ERA.
Craig Counsell says that the Cubs are not done with Kyle Hendricks yet, but if I were to set the number at 2.5 more starts for Kyle Hendricks, would you take the over or
Yes.
the under?
I'm taking the over, too. At some point, like what, again, we talk about it. You're going to have 7 guys starting games for you over the course of 162. And they're going to give him another spin at some point.
Yeah. And guys get hurt, and I think they're going to need him.
But he's been getting rocked.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with that too.
There's no inspiration when he goes out and takes the mound.
I know. They have to get better. Like what concerns me more than anything, though, above Kyle Hendricks, and Hendricks is a big problem, is their bullpen. The bullpen is my number one problem with the Cubs.
Yeah, bullpen's an everyday problem, whereas Hendricks is a once every 5 or 6 days.
Yes. And then closing these games, you've got to finish 1-run games. You cannot have these 1-run games turn into losses with a frequency that they've turned into. You're good. You're already good. Like, think how much better you could be if you finished some of these games.
Let's say they're up 6-4 in the 9th tonight. Who's pitching?
I don't know, but they're going to have some sweet uniforms on. That's all that matters.
I think it's lighter unless he gets you out of a jam earlier in the game. Like, that's a big problem, too. Like, what happens when you inherit a big jam? He's probably your most dependable guy of getting out of that jam. So now who comes in? Is it, it's probably the pitcher that you got from the Astros.
Maris, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not been great to start his Cubs career either. But who do you have?
Ben Brown?
I want
I
him
hate
to
that,
start.
yeah.
I like him to start.
I agree. I'm just throwing out an option.
We saw it the other day. It wasn't a high leverage situation, but he
Give
came out
that
of the
ball
pen.
to the big Luke Little.
He really makes me uncomfortable. He looks uncomfortable. He's overly tall. Just everything about him.
He looks like a power forward on the
It
mound.
just doesn't look right.
No, it doesn't.
Nothing looks
No.
right about Luke Little.
No.
I'm very uncomfortable watching Luke Little pitch.
Yeah.
I don't like ironic last names either.
Yes.
Exactly.
People don't like people with two first names. I don't like ironic last names.
Right, like Madrigal should be Luke Little.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he should be Nick Madrigal.
6'8", 220. His name's Luke Little.
The baseball looks so damn small in his hand. And
Not
then
to,
it just goes
not to the guys at the dish.
Well, I know, or it's
Looks like
going
a beach
anywhere.
ball.
The problem is too, he's never throwing strikes. Getting behind.
He thinks it's a 58-foot throw.
Yes, exactly. Between him and Smiley, like he throwing hard, can't find the strike zone. Smiley's throwing soft, and then he does find the strike. He's either in the dirt or throwing like just a hanger for someone to
Why
smash.
did your front office leave you hanging like this with your bullpen?
I think it's
And
what
with
we
the
had-
entire staff.
I think it was the $27 million that was owed to Hendricks and to Smiley.
Well, maybe when you're up there, you can pass the hat and make a donation so Tom Ricketts
you're
gets
right.
all the requisite funds
Couple extra
to put his
50-50
staff
tickets
together.
from you tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going. Yeah, driving out there in 15 minutes.
Will
in
you
the
play
Sequoia.
the 50-50 raft?
Yeah, I will. Should I let my son hit the?
Yes.
That's the in vogue thing
Yes.
now.
How
Send
pissed
them the
would
big cat.
$300 worth.
No, $300.
How pissed would Big Cat be if
he
your
won?
kid hits it? He's
And
been
wins.
playing this thing for years.
That would be the best.
Big Cat.
How power
Sylvie's
move would that
son-
be?
Sylvie's son's a winner. He's a winner.
Not a mush.
Not a mush. He's a winner.
I don't like though that you could play 50-50 raffle if you're not at the game.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
What's the point of being at the game and playing 50-50 raffle if anyone can buy it from their couch?
I don't get it. I don't like it.
I can't believe they allow it.
They do.
I think you have to be
think
within
it's-
certain limits.
What do you mean certain
I think you have
limits?
to be within city limits to play it.
Do you really?
Geofence
I
for the
can't
50-50.
imagine you could be in Montana and just randomly play a 50-50 raffle
Or
in a
is this
game at
like
regular.
legalized gambling in the state of Illinois? Anyone in the state of Illinois can now play. I'm going to try tomorrow.
You should have to
From
be
my
in the
couch.
stadium to participate.
Yes, I agree.
I hope Javante Porter wins the 50-50 tonight.
Is he going to be there?
Does he
All
have to
right.
be?
That was a good Akis A-List today. Very good. That was
you.
a good one. Except the uniform question. That was stupid.
Yeah, that was weird. That showed his youth.